Let's take a look at how to monitor network port activity. When we open up ports, we're really just saying, here's a specific area where something can connect. We allow whatever traffic comes to that specific door to be passed through to a program that's waiting for input. Every connection through one of these doors is called a socket, which is defined as a connection which has an address and a port on each end, along with a particular protocol to describe how the data flows between the endpoints. With the SS tool, which replaces the older Netstat tool, we can see these sockets and determine what process is running them. If I just write SS at the command line, I get a lot of information that isn't very interesting to me, mostly system stuff. We can filter by protocol, and to just look at the TCP sockets, I can write SS-T. Oh, well, there's nothing there. That's because SS, by default, shows connected or established sockets. I can instead ask for listening sockets by adding the L flag. I'll write SS-T L. There we go. This is starting to look a lot more useful. I can see that I'm listening for, among other things, SSH connections. Let's start up a program to listen for some input. Here on my router virtual machine, I'll start up Netcat, listening on port 4545. To do that, I'll write nc-l for listen 4545. I'll open up a new terminal here. And if I take a look at my sockets again, with SS-TL, I can see a newcomer here, called World Scores. SS tries to resolve port numbers into recognized services. With things like SSH and IP printing here, it gets them right. For more obscure ports like 4545, it uses what are commonly recognized services on the port number. At some point, some software called World Scores laid claim to port 4545, but it's not something in wide use now. To see the port numbers instead of guesses at the services provided, we can add the N flag to our command. So I'll write SS-TLN. And there I can see 22 for SSH, 631 for IPP, and 4545 from Netcat. Let's open up the firewall for port 4545 so we can connect to it from another system. I'll write sudo firewall cmd permanent zone equals public add port equals 4545 TCP. And I'll reload the firewall with sudo firewall cmd reload. And then on my other system here, I'll connect with NC, the IP address from this network, 192.168.0.6, and port 4545. Okay, I'll go back to my router, and I'll run that same command again, SS-TLN. I see that my Netcat connection has disappeared. That's because we're asking for the listening socket still, because of the -L flag. If I drop that and try again with SS-TN, I can see now I have an established socket from my system on port 4545 to the other machine on port 45834, which is what it chose to communicate with this machine. I can look at both listening and established sockets with the A flag instead of L. For example, SS-ANT. You can see it's listed here, right on the line after the port it's responsible for. And if I want to see what process is responsible for a port, I can add the P flag. I'll write SS-ANPT. And here, right after the line with the port that's open, I can see NC and the process ID. That's Netcat. I encourage you to further explore the sockets using the SS tool. The man page is a great place to start. But for now, let's close this window, end Netcat over here, and also end Netcat on the client.